Hello, you are welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sola. I'm so happy to have you here today. On this channel, I'll teach you all you need to succeed in your ICAN examination. If you are new here, you are welcome. Kindly click the subscribe button, please. To my returning subscribers, you rock. Thank you so much for coming back. Please hit the like button, turn on your notification bell so that I can know when I drop new videos, and share this video to every and anyone that you know you will benefit from the video. So thank you so much. So guess what we're doing today? Okay, so from the caption, you obviously know what we're doing today. So today we're talking about executive summary. Now, I've read a lot, and in fact, a lot of examiners' comments on how students performed in the exam, how the exam was, or what they saw when they were grading, all of that. And executive summary has always like been a constant K when it comes to what's the problem, or when it comes to what's the major pitfall. Executive summary has always like topped the list. So this video is very important. So please ensure you watch this video to the end. Don't leave. Watch this video to the end. Watch it over and over again. Send this video to people. Let people benefit so that don't fall victim. Don't be a victim of the issues that students have when it comes to executive summary. So the outline for today's class is I'm telling you what an executive summary is, what is the executive summary of your report, then how many pages should the executive summary be, the content of the executive summary. I'll be taking practical examples. We're looking through practical examples as well. So now let's jump right into the video. So now, what is an executive summary? What is an executive summary? So an executive summary is a summary of your entire report. The summary of your entire report. In fact, is a snapshot of your entire report. Is like, oh, it captures everything that your report talks about, like everything. So it's a summary of the entire report. What's your report talking about? Oh, from the beginning to the end, what were the objectives? What did you carry out? What were the conclusions you reached? What were the recommendations, the methodologies, every and anything that you can think of, the executive summary covers it. So it's just a summary of the report. And like I said, it's called the executive summary because it's a summary prepared for the executives of the company. So as a worker of the company, probably you're working for XYZ PLC. So as a worker of XYZ PLC, someone working there, you are to write a report of probably, okay, let's paint a picture now. The board of directors of the company you're working with wants to carry out, just to do a project. Probably they have like a contract. Let's imagine the federal government wants to offer them a contract, and they're like, oh, before we accept this contract, want to carry out an analysis, want to check the financial analysis of this project, want to see what's the viability, or what's the payback period. Many things that they could want to know, right? And they have to prepare reports. Now, what kind of report is that? Obviously an internal report. Well, if you did not know that, please check my channel. I uploaded a video on internal and external report. Please watch it because that's like a foundation. Like you have to know which is an external report, which is an internal report. Very, very important. So if you're not sure of that answer, please watch that video. Okay, so executive summary is a summary for the executives of your company. It's very for the executives of your company. So, and you have to ensure that it's not long. Now, what's that? Why is executive summary necessary? Since you have actually written everything, I've carried out the analysis. I've shown you the result of the analysis. Oh, I've given you recommendation. I've given you conclusions. Why do I still need to do a summary? You still need to do a summary because executives have a lot of tasks to perform and they do not have the luxury of time to read lengthy reports, but they need to be informed of all aspects of the report. They don't have time. These are the big bosses are just strolling when they have time and stroll out maybe just once in a while. Probably it could be some of the board of directors, some of the executives of the company could be only during the annual general meeting that they actually show up in the company. And with the way technology has taken control of society today, some of them might not even show up because they can join through Zoom, they can, you understand? So, so many things. So some of them might not be able to come. So they need to know, they need to be aware of what's actually happening. They need to be aware of everything that you have carried out. So it's necessary you prepare an executive summary for them And executive summary should, I'll be telling you how many pages executive summary should be as time goes on in this video. So it's just like, oh, a summary of the entire report. So I was saying here that you have to brush up your summarization skills. It's very, very important, because how you tell me that, oh, I've written a 20 pages, like I've written 20 pages, and you're telling me I should summarize that 20 pages in just few pages, like how will I do that? So your summarization skills has to be top notch. And how can you actually brush up your summarization skills? Practice. Yes, practice. Watch videos like this. Go to my channel, watch all my videos. You will learn. Go to practice on your own, study past questions, do a lot of things. It will help you to improve. So practice like they say, practice does what practice makes perfect. So it will help you a lot to actually be used to this thing, because you need it very well here. You have to ensure you summarize the entire report. Nothing must be left out. So you have to ensure you have top-notch summarization skills. So how many pages should the executive summary be? Now the executive summary should not be more than 2 pages. It should not be more than 2 pages. It should not be more than 2 pages. The executive summary should not be more than 2 pages. You must ensure that it's not more than 2 pages, and at most maximum 2 pages. You are expected to summarize the report in just 1 page. Yes, sometimes some executive summary is actually 1 page, but because it's a handwritten report, it can exceed 1 page. Like people like me now that have big handwriting, that 5 words, one line. But you can't do that here. You have to ensure that you manage your space properly. So you should not exceed at most 2 pages. So let your targets be 1 page. Like okay, let me say okay, 1 page and everything, but a maximum of 2 pages. You understand? A maximum of 2 pages. So it should not be more than 2 pages. Do you understand? Because now, yeah, if you're saying that you're trying to solve a problem and you're creating more problems, you're trying to solve a problem of, oh, the executives don't have enough time to read lengthy reports. You're not giving a lengthy executive summary, like you're solving a problem with a problem. So it should not be more than 2 pages. So that's the number of pages your executive summary should be. Now, what is the content of your executive summary? Now, let's go the content of the executive summary of an external report. So let's look at that of an external report first. So, what is the content of the executive summary of an external report? Of an external report, because there's a difference between an external report and an internal report. Do you know the difference? If you do not know, check my video on internal and external reports. Check for it. It's going to explain a lot. Once you watch that video, I'm sure you will have no issue when it comes to differentiating between an external report and internal report. So now let's look at the content of the executive summary of an external report. So now let's look at this step by step. So the first thing you have is the heading. The heading, right? The heading. So you have a red heading, you write, oh, executive summary. That is it. Executive summary. So you can have something like this. So let's say in the middle. So you have something like, oh, executive summary. So you have the heading, executive summary, executive summary. So you have the heading like that, executive summary. Then after you do that, you go down to the scope. So the first thing you write is, oh, what's the scope? Now the scope is the first paragraph. This is the first paragraph of your report, of your executive summary, the first paragraph of your executive summary. So you have the scope. Then the scope, what does it include? Oh, the examiner's requirements. The examiner's requirements are usually in the email, and most times, in fact, almost every time, it's going to be in your unseen. It's going to be your unseen, one of the exhibits in your unseen. So you have the examiner's requirement, or carry out an evaluation on the financial performance, or evaluate the project proposals of something, 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 to get something related to that. That's kind of way the requirements will come. So it's usually in an email that they'll send to you in the unseen, most times, usually in your unseen. So in the scope of your report, you state the objectives. Okay, the objectives of the evaluation we are carrying out, what you aim to achieve is basically what the examiner asks you to do. You cannot say, oh, I feel like achieving what I feel like achieving. No, you have to achieve what the examiner requires of you. That's what you have to achieve, right? So the scope is the first thing, right? Is what the examiner requires of you. Oh, this report contains or provides information on the evaluation of the financial performance and financial, okay, and business proposals of understand, of so, right? So whatever the examiner requires of you will determine what you watch. So the objective, so the first thing basically is the objective. So you have the objective. Then after that, what are the methodologies you used? Now, this report was carried out using this the analysis of the business proposal was carried out using the net present value, or the analysis of the business proposal was carried out using payback period. So whatever methodology you used, whatever methodology you implemented, the financial statements were analyzed using ratio analysis. So whatever you used, whatever methodology you used, whatever method you used to carry out the financial analysis, you have to state it there. And there's a need for what? You should state any assumption. If you had any assumption, if you made any assumption why preparing the report, it's very, very important that you also state it there. It's very, very important that you state it there. Whatever assumption that you made while preparing the report, you have to state it there. And skepticism too is very, very important. It's very, very important. Now you have to have a question in mind because they expect that you're a professional, so you don't just take everything hook, line, and sinker. You have to actually have like, oh, how about is this thing actually? Do you understand? You have to have some form of skepticism. Do you understand? So, for instance, if the financial statements were given, they were given had not been audited before you carried out the analysis, you can actually say something about that. You can say something about that. So you can say, oh, it was assumed. Now, this skepticism and assumptions are aligned. They're very, very close. So you say, okay, it was assumed that there will be no significant difference between the audited financial statements and unaudited financial statements. So we can put this together. So that's like the skepticism. You have to state it there. You have to state it there as well too. And the assumptions as well. That's good, right? You have to state it there. The assumptions as well. You have to state it there. So if the financial statement has not been audited, you can say something about it. It was assumed there was there was no significant difference between the audited financial statement and the unaudited financial statement. So that's a good question in my mind. This result, is it going to be accurate? Well, it's going to be accurate if the audited financial statement is not significantly different from the unaudited financial statement. I know sometimes when the auditor sees some things, they can send a message to the management telling them to correct it or something like that. So that one is about auditing. Let's not go deep into auditing, but you can just state it there. So you have the so let's zoom this in a bit. Yes, that's good. So we have the objectives, right? Which constitutes the objectives, which basically is the requirement of the examiner, right? The objectives. Then after the objectives, the methodologies. That's good. Then you have the assumptions. Abino, the assumptions and skepticism. So you have it as well. So this will also the assumptions. So this will help you. So this like form the form the scope. You know, the first one we have is the heading. Then after the heading, we have the scope. So this is like, oh, these are the things we talk about in scope. Then after the scope, you now go to the body of your executive summary. What's the body of executive summary? Now, sometimes this can be done heading by heading. How do I mean? Like now, if you're asked that, let's say the examiner's requirement asks you to carry out profitability analysis, liquidity analysis, and okay, let's just say profitability and liquidity analysis. So you can have something like, okay, profitability. There you write everything about profitability, everything about profitability. You write it there, right? Then after you can now have the next after you finish writing about profitability, you can have liquidity. Write everything about liquidity. You might not necessarily do it like that. You may actually do it together. Talk about profitability in a paragraph. Talk about liquidity in another paragraph too, as the case may be. So all the analysis you carried out, the financial analysis, financial statement analysis, financial data analysis, the strategic, everything that you were asked to do in the report by the examiner, you have to talk about it there. So that's what constitutes the body of your executive summary. Then after that, you go down to the conclusion. The conclusion now, in when you're writing the body of data, when you're the body of your report, pardon me, when you're carrying out a financial statement analysis, financial data analysis, whatever analysis you were asked to do, you would have written some conclusions and recommendations, right? So now those conclusions and recommendations that you wrote in the body of the report, you have to conclude. You understand? You have to you summarize everything and bring it in. Do you understand? That's good. You summarize everything and bring it in and ensure that no new addition is made. Please ensure no new addition is made. Ensure no new addition is made. Not that you say, oh, the project should be accepted because it has positive MPV. You now come to the executive summary and say the product should not be accepted. No, there has to be a thing. So someone reading the executive summary and reading the body of the report would be confused because the person is saying in one section accept, in another section do not accept, or seeing new information in a section, seeing yes, everything has to be aligned. Do you understand? Everything has to be aligned. So you have to ensure that it is the same conclusion you made in the body of the report. That is in the executive summary is very, very important. Then your recommendation should be summarized as well, but in bullet points. That's something like this bullet points. So you can have star like that, or you can have something like okay, just a dash. Do you understand? Just a dash. So you talk about the first one, then talk about the second one. You don't number, just talk about it. Oh, the project XYZ should be accepted. Do you get? Then go to the next one. Whatever recommendation you have to, you put it there as well. So you should summarize in bullet points. Don't talk about stories. But the conclusion should be written as a prose. How do I mean? Just write it as a straight line. Oh, just write it as a straight line. The financial analysis carried out revealed that just keep writing. Just keep writing, just like a story form, but recommendation should be in bullet points, please. And the conclusion and recommendation can be done separately altogether. It can be done separately altogether. How do I mean now? For you have the financial statement analysis, you have the financial data analysis, probably carried out the financial analysis on the financial statement, and you analyzed a project. So you can do the conclusion and recommendation together. Like, okay, maybe conclude on requirement one, conclude on requirement two, and basically, the if you are doing it separately, that will be when you had it under a heading. Remember what we did here? That I said here when we were talking about this profitability and liquidity. Do you understand that we said you can do it heading by heading? And this one you can say, okay, contracts. Just have this in caps. Contracts XYZ. June said. So now these two now they are financial statement analysis because you're analyzing the financial statement. But this is financial data analysis because you're doing a project appraisal. So now if you did it heading by heading, so these two now the financial statement analysis. So after you finish the financial statement analysis, you have conclusion, then you have its own recommendation. Then after you finish your financial data analysis, you can still have its own conclusion and its recommendation. But most times people actually prefer doing it together because like just not having heading, just have talk about okay, paragraph one, you talk about liquidity, paragraph two, you talk about paragraph one, you talk about profitability, paragraph two, you talk about liquidity, paragraph three, you talk about contract XYZ, and then you have a combined conclusion and recommendation because people prefer to do it that way because of space. Like is a lot. It requires a lot of summarization skills to squeeze maybe 20 something pages they have written in 2 pages. Now having to have headings, that heading has taken a whole line. Do you understand? So, but whichever way you want to choose, you can just do that way. Just ensure that you are time smart. Like manage your time properly because the sad things about exams like this is that they cannot mark what is in your head, they mark what is written down. So you cannot say, oh, I knew what to write, and oh, there was not time was not enough for me, or time was not enough, I knew what to write. No. So ensure you manage your time. So whatever method you use, ensure it's a method that you have practiced over time and it suits you in such a way that you can manage time properly and get all what you need to get down on paper as soon as possible. So, what are the contents of the executive summary of an internal report? So, that's for an external report. So, what are the content of the executive summary of an internal report? Of an internal report. So, unlike an external report, when preparing an internal report, you do not need any steps because internal report is basically inside or somebody within the company and all. So you don't really need so many steps. So you have your heading just like you had for executive for external reports. You have your heading or the executive summary, then the scope. That's what your report's covered. Or what is the year? Or the so you have something like this. This report provides information provides yep, information on the evaluation of the management management account of from 2008 to 2010. Do you understand? So you can just that's the year you considered it. Then the purpose of the report just states scope. You don't really need so much information because it's an internal report. Then the body of the report to go straight to the report, summarize all what you did, what you were asked to do by the examiner, then conclusion, and then you give a recommendation as well in bullet points. In bullet points. So you have to give a recommendation in bullet points too for external and internal reports. And just like I said, the conclusion of each requirement can be done separately or done together. Just ensure you have adopt a method that will make your work neat and save time. So now, to the major thing, to the major work of this. So I've talked a little, I've explained it, the content of what do you need, what's needed here for internal report, for external report. Now let's go to practical examples. So today we'll be looking at two practical examples. And why are we looking at two practical examples? One for internal reports, one for external reports. We'll be looking at two practical examples. I'll be using November 2019 diet. I can November 2019 diet. So you can also look that up online, so you can probably just download it as well as you're watching this video so that you can follow through as well and you can read through the requirements as well. I'll be looking at ICAN November December 2020 diet, which is an internal report. So the first one is an external report and the second one is an internal report. Please, if you don't properly understand what an external report is, an internal report is different, what they entail, please ensure you watch that video on internal and external reports. Please, it's going to help you a lot because now we're going to practical examples and I'm going to be using some terminologies and just terminologies if you're not conversant with it, if you don't understand those terminologies properly, you may not really flow. So please ensure you watch that video. It's going to help you a lot. So now let's go. So the first one is an external report. The first one is an external report. It's an external report. So we're going to be looking at it one by one. One by one. That's good. So in this diet, this is the examiner's requirements. The examiner's requirements that was given in this diet. So we're asked to review the management accounts, right? We're asked to review the management accounts, and your review should comprise of an analysis of the key changes in revenue, costs, and overheads across the revenue streams in comparison with previous 2 years. You should evaluate the impact of these changes on operating profit. In addition, please comment on the bank overdraft at the end of the year despite the huge profit for the year. So this is what we're asked to do. We should review the management accounts. We should consider what were the changes, the key changes in revenue, cost, overhead across the revenue streams. How did that impact the operating profit, and why does the company have a bank overdraft even though they have huge profits? So we should actually look at that as well. And the second thing is that we should make an assessment of the contract supply as contained in Exhibit 10 and 11. You are also required to critically evaluate the proposed strategic business opportunity. The installation of the meat, that's the strategic business opportunity is the installation of meat processing plants by DFFP as contained in Exhibit 12 and discuss broader commercial and ethical considerations as well as the risks that may be associated with accepting or venturing into these business proposals. So we are to do. So the first one is a financial statement analysis. We have to, because all what we need there, revenue, cost, overheads, profit, everything's going to be in the financial statement. But now this second one is a financial data analysis. That is appraising a a business opportunity, a proposed strategic business opportunity. That's contract installation of meat processing plants. So we're supposed to prepare reports for the board. See, a report addressed to the board of DFFP, addressed to the board of DFFP. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So the executive summary that we are going to prepare will cover all the requirements. It's going to cover all the requirements. All the requirements. Now, before you write your executive summary, you have to first prepare the body of your report. And in subsequent videos, I'm going to be teaching you how to prepare the body of your report. I'm going to be teaching you how to prepare the body of your report, the financial statement analysis, the financial data analysis. I'm going to be teaching you that in subsequent videos. But let's dive in. Let's dive in and start preparing the executive summary of an external report. The executive summary of an external report. So today we're just going to be focusing on the executive summary. But in subsequent videos, I'll be teaching you the body of the report and how you structure that. So this is just the I wrote out the structure again, all the things we're going to be needing again. So we have the heading, the scope, right? Where you have the examiner's requirements, the objectives, the methodologies, the assumptions. Then you have the conclusion and recommendation. So we're going to be using this. Now, before we start, let's talk about what this case study is about. Like, okay, what's this case study about? And like, okay, what did they ask us to do? November 2019 diet, like, right? We're dealing with November 2019 diet. I can't remember 2019 diet. What were we asked to do? What was the requirement? Because if we're going to be doing an executive summary, we should have done a body of reports before, right? But now this video is just about executive summary alone. So let's talk about it a little. Let's check it an internal report or external report. Fine, I've let the cat out of the bag. I've told you it's an external report, but then let's still check. Let's still check. Let's do the due diligence. So, so how do you know? I think I've spoken all about this in the internal and external report video. Don't forget to watch it if you haven't. And so this was the list of exhibits. And we're told that about you, Chukura Ali, and your employer. Your employer is who? Oluwole Ibrahim and Kushada accountant. And and they give you management accounts of Detoy farms and farm products. And don't forget the requirement of the examiner where we read here. Now DFFP is Detoy farms and farm products. D for Detoy, F for farm, F for farm, P for products, P for products. So that's DFFP. So I am preparing a report addressed to DFFP. Who are you working for again? You're working for Oluwale Ibrahim is a fair and co chartered accountant. That's who you're working for. But you're preparing a report for DFP. That's somebody outside, right? That's somebody outside. So that's someone outside. So please check the link in the description to learn about internal and external reports if you haven't. So this is an external report because you're preparing for somebody outside the company, somebody outside. So now let's look at it one by one according to our structure. So the first thing in our structure is what the heading. So you have what the heading, that is the executive summary, right? That's the executive summary, that's the heading. That's your heading. So that's the first thing that you have, right? That's good. Then the next thing you have is this report is provided for. That's your scope, right? Remember that we said in scope, if you can remember clearly, let's go back a bit. If you can remember clearly for the executive summary of an external report that we said you have your objective methodologies assumptions as now. So we've talked about this earlier. So now let's now go back. That's good. So you have this report provides information on the analysis carried out. So this is our scope. So let's highlight our scope. Let's use probably purple. So purple is our scope, right? Purple is our scope. So this report provides information on the analysis carried out on the cost. Remember that what we're told to do requirement one was what? Carry out analysis on the cost, revenue, overheads in the management accounts, right? I will also check the what? For 3 years up to 30th September, we also asked the requirement two to check the contract supply and the what and the installation of meat processing plants. So then let's continue. For 3 years up to 30th September 2019, and the proposed business proposals, which include the contract supply from a retail storage shop and the installation of the business of meat processing plant. So this is the objective. And the objective, like I said earlier, is what the objective should be your examiner's requirement. So that's the examiner's requirement. So what are the methodologies? The methodologies you use to carry out this analysis include the trend analysis and next present value. And if you made any assumptions, state it there, or you have any question, you have a question in mind, you have a skepticism, you can state it there as well. So that's just the first paragraph of your executive summary, like I said earlier. So the next thing you have is your body, the body of your report. Now this is where the major work is going to be. So let's have the body. Let's paint this part pink. Yes, pink is a good color. Let's have this to be pink. Pink. So that's our body of our report. So now let's read through. Now in this case, like I said in the first when I was explaining, you might want to do it heading by heading or not. That's totally your choice. So whatever you choose to do. So now the review of the management account of DFFP covered the revenue, cost, and overheads. It was discovered that the revenue grew. So you see, so you're explaining all what you did in the financial statement analysis. Okay, the revenue grew by 19% between 2018 as compared to 2019. And the most important thing I always emphasize, you must give a reason. You must always give a reason. Do you understand? You must always give a reason. Now you're telling us that revenue grew, right? Revenue grew. Why? Okay, this was due to the lucrative nature of the agricultural sector, especially in poultry farming. And if you go through that November 2019 diet question, you will see that they were really getting a lot of money in poultry. So you can use that. Now, they didn't specifically state that, oh, poultry, oh, that's the reason why our revenue grew. But that's why you have so many information. That's why you have 20 pages information. Because from that information, you can derive reasons. Do you understand? That's good. The account revealed that JFFP achieved the highest revenue in poultry farming, right? Which is a highly lucrative aspect. So you're trying to tell us the reason why revenue actually was on the high side. And then you say, okay, however, it was discovered that the gross profit, just they told us to talk about the revenue, the profits, the overhead, and the impact on operating margin. So now we've talked about revenue, we're talking about gross profit here. Next to come, we talk about the proportion of you talk about expenses, right? Then afterwards, talk about the operating profit margin. So now you have that paragraph addressed all the requirements of one, the cost, the overhead, everything we've talked about it. And we've given reasons as well. Then the next one you have, that's requirement one, Abi. Then you summarize your requirement two, right? You summarize it. So the contract service from the shop, the contract service from the shop that's okay, the analysis of the contract service from the shop shows that DFFP should sign the contract, but the contract terms have to be negotiated to make it more favorable. So that's all these things we have done, all these things that you're summarizing. Where did you gather it from? From the body of your report, right? So we must have done some computations in your appendix section. We have talked about it at length. So you're just summarizing it here, talking about. He said, however, the installation of meat plants using net present value was evaluated using net present value and so it discovered that the project is not viable. Do you understand? It was discovered that the project is not viable because that was a negative MPV. So you should not embark. So you have summarized requirement one and requirement two. Then since I did not do heading by heading, I did not separate requirement one, requirement two. I didn't do heading by heading. Now when I mean okay, now let's say you wanted to do heading by heading in this situation now, I could have said something like, oh, okay, let's have black ink. I could have said something like the review of the management accounts for 3 years up to 30th 30 September 2019. That's the heading, right? And I can come and say something here. Oh, the analysis of the contract supply service and the installation of the meat processing plants, right? And of the meat processing plants. So that's the heading. So if I want to do conclusion now, I can say, oh, here I will have gone after finishing that one, I will have conclusion. That's if I'm doing heading by heading, right? Sorry, conclusion, and I will have had sorry, conclusion, and I will have had recommendation, right? Conclusion and recommendation. Then when I finish this one too, I'll have its own conclusion and recommendation. But because I didn't do heading by heading here, I merged my recommendation and conclusion. I merged it together. So I talked about the first one, that's the overhead, the profit margin. Then I talked about the second one, the contract supply and meat processing plan. I merged my conclusion. Then I also merged my recommendation as well. So recommendation should be done bullet point by bullet point. So that's just how the executive summary of an external report should look. Then an internal report, I used November 2020 diet to look at. November 2020 diet was that's December 2020 as well because of the corona. So it was an internal report that was asked that year. So our structure too, that's the heading, the scope, the body, still the same structure that we had, right? It's still the same structure that we had. Let me put this back. It's still the same structure that we have, but then just like the content will not be as much. So the heading, the scope, the body, and the conclusion. So now let's now go into it. And then you have your recommendation. Do not forget that as well. Now, just like we have to look at that, although I've let the cat out of the bag again, I should have asked, but then it's fine. Since we actually passed this stage, we already know what internal external report is, so that's fine. So the executive summary is not expected to be more than 2 pages. Do you understand? It's not expected to be more than 2 pages. But now before we start, let's know what the case study is about, because what we know, what the case study is about will let us know whether we're doing internal reports, external reports, or not. So here we're told that you are Ibrahim Danladi, and your employer Dotmark Nigeria Limited. Your employer is Dotmark Nigeria Limited. And you are giving the history and operations of Dotmark Nigeria Limited, the challenges of the shoe industry, the management account of Dotmark Nigeria Limited. So you are giving everything Dotmark Nigeria Limited, Dotmark Nigeria Limited, and even here, let's zoom in so they can see this properly. You were asked that you should prepare a report to be submitted to the board of your company. Unlike there, they say board of what, DFPP. But here you're submitting to the board of your company. So you definitely know that's an internal report, right? So now how does that look? Now let's look at it just the same way. The executive summary, there should be a heading, the executive summary, right? Then the scope, where you talk about what you did, the purpose of your report, now, and everything, all what you did in the report, what you were asked to do, what the examiner's requirement was. So that's what you talk about in the first section. That's the scope of your report. You talk about everything that you were asked to do. That's Dotmark Nigeria Limited, right? Now, I said unlike the first example, I'll read this one heading by heading so that you can see an example of how you can do it very well. So here we're asked now. Let's now go and check our requirements. Our requirements, we're asked to an evaluation of the company's performance as reflected in the management accounts for the year, as presented in Exhibit 8. Your evaluation should comprise an analysis of key changes in the profitability, position, and prospects of the company. So, the profitability, position, and prospects. So, these are the three things that you're going to look at. And the second one tells us that we should do what? Assessment of the two business proposals. You are to calculate product addition to contribution from Faith Group of Schools contract. And what's the second project? Tito Shoe Factory. So analyzing the management accounts by checking the profitability, position, and prospect was to check two business proposals, which is the Faith Group of Schools contract and the Tito Shoe Factory. So that's what we're asked to do. So now we'll go to the body of the report. So the first one, profitability, right? So profitability is big. We talk about everything about the profitability. I know this will be based on your requirements and based on your calculation. You cannot just come and be writing what you feel like writing. Obviously, all these things I didn't just write them here. I did some computations, but just because we are focusing on the executive summary today, I don't want to bother you with the remaining body. We'll talk about that in subsequent videos. So I didn't just write what I feel like writing here. Do you understand? So you have to show it. You have to show your computations. Do you understand? Okay. And you can actually include figures as well. Should have done that here. You can include figures as well in that case. Maybe or increased between 2022, maybe from now. This is just like a hypothetical figure. Maybe from let's say 25,000. It's increased, Abby, from 25,000 to 40,000. So let's say that was, so you can put figures as well. You can put figures as well. That will help too. You can put figures as well. So that's our profitability. Then the position, then that's like financial position. So you can talk about any ratio you want, put figures there. Then the prospect. So you can see that we're doing it heading by heading, heading by heading. So this is about the first requirement, which is what the financial statement analysis. So this is what they asked us to do, and we presented it here. And the second one was what the financial data analysis, which consists of the projects that they're doing, the two business proposals. So we talked about that. So this is the financial statement analysis. You talk about each of them, you explain it or what you concluded, what you saw, everything about it. You talk about it, the figures as well. Then after you do that, you go to your conclusion. You go to your conclusion. You go to your conclusion. Now in this case, we could have just done something like, oh, conclusion, remove all these ones here. Do you understand? And then conclude, put the conclusion underneath, like something like this, X. Then, since this was where we ended our financial statement analysis, so we have V. Do you understand? So you have conclusion for the first requirements. Conclusion for the first requirement. This is requirement one, where we talk about profitability, position, prospects. Then you have conclusion. Then here we have a heading here. Contribute. Conclusion. So the first group of projects should be accepted. Then recommendations too. Since we have recommendations for two, these two are recommendations for the for the financial statement analysis. So we can have a heading, recommendations. Hope you're getting it. You can ask questions in the comment section if you have any. So we have the first objective, we talked about it. The first requirement, we talked about it. Then we had our conclusions and recommendations. Then the second requirements, which was Tito Shoe Factory and Faith Group of Schools. We summarized everything we found there. Then we talked about the recommendations and conclusions. So basically, that's just all you need to do about internal report and external reports. I hope you learned a lot. Did you learn a lot today? I hope you learned a lot. Hope you now know what an executive summary is, how many pages it should be, what is required of you of an internal, or if you're writing an internal report, there's the executive summary of an internal report, what is required, and that of an external report, and two practical examples as well. I hope you learned a lot. Please, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. And if you are returning, thank you so much. Please don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to comment. Share this video to as many as you benefit from it. And turn on the notification bell so you will be informed of new videos. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you want me to make any video in the comment section or if you have any question. So do have a lovely day. Bye.